Joining. So a very good afternoon to everybody in the Netherlands. Here in Argentina and Brazil, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's also winter time. So here in Córdoba, it's like 1 below zero. I hope in the Netherlands you are a bit warmer. Webinar will have first part of a central presentation and the second interactive session. We will start with an introduction of Nicolás, who will tell about the tools and the support from the RVO. Then we'll go over to the presentation of the Biogas Market Study in Brazil. Then after, we'll do the presentation of Argentina, and we'll close off with a general Q&A and a general goodbye. And then we'll go into the breakout sessions. Luisa.
Yeah, so as Bastiaan just mentioned, we'll have, after the presentations itself and after the general Q&A, we'll have an interactive breakout sessions in which you may choose between NBSO to talk to NBSO Córdoba or to NBSO Belo Horizonte in Brazil to further keep the conversations with our colleagues from CI Biogas and with the colleagues from the representatives of the market study in Argentina. So this will be a very nice, nice moment to have a more in-depth conversation with our consultants, and of course with the NBSO team as well. So with no more further ado, I would like to give the word to Nicolás to tell a little bit about the RVO introduction of the presentation. So Kenneth, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Louisa. Good afternoon, good morning to some people. I'm Kenneth Colijn. I'm working for RVO, or in English, the Netherlands Enterprise Agency. Next slide, please. For some of you who do not know RVO, we are part of the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate. However, our activities are commissioned by various ministries, the European Union, and even regional governments. And we are helping Dutch entrepreneurs with sustainable, agricultural, innovative, and international business. And I think this webinar is ticking all those 4 boxes. How we do it? We help them with funding, networking, know-how, and compliance with their local law and regulations. Next slide, please. For this topic, biogas in both Brazil and Argentina, RVO can help you with 2 different positions. First of all, we have business development coaches. They are focusing on one specific country or region, and in that country, they are focusing on multiple sectors. If you have some general questions about Brazil or Argentina, you can always contact my colleague, Nico Smith. Those slides will be shared afterwards with you as well, so you will have the contact details of all of us. We also have sector accounts. Those are the other way around. We focus on one sector, but of course then with multiple countries or regions. For bioenergy, I am the sector accounts. The sector account bioenergy is part of the ICEP team. That stands for International Clean Energy Partnership. On the next slide, I will tell you a bit more about that. So next slide, please. ICEP supports the Dutch entrepreneurs with trade commission promotion and the positioning of Dutch businesses. So we do it by working together with the branch organizations and setting up export groups. We organize missions, commission market studies. We will be attending international conferences and events. And of course, and that is quite important, we are always in direct contact with the local embassy network and other NBSOs, for example. So with Brazil and Argentina, we are always in contact with Bastiaan in Argentina and Luisa in Brazil. and they have all the local content that is important to do businesses abroad. Next slide, please. With bioenergy, we are working with an export group with about 30 companies. We work together there with the FME, the Trade Association, and the top sector energy, who was helping international innovative businesses. If you want to join the export group or have any question, please contact me. I have limited time because we're all here, of course, waiting on the information from the market studies. So I'm going quite quickly through the next slides, which shows more about the subsidies and instruments of RVO. However, if you have any questions about that, please send me an email afterwards, and I can always set up a call. So we have, for example, the customized business partner support, which is not a standard tool, but enables us to help you with a specific question. Next one, please. We have the stars in international business, and there's a different set of tools. It can include coaching, market entry vouchers. If you want to go on a specific mission, we can help you financially with that. So we have all different kinds of tools. If you are new to, for example, Brazil or Argentina, to help you with starting a business there. Next one, please. That is the Kickstart voucher, which is a little bit the same as the previous one, but it is for us easier to provide to companies. The next slide, it's called the DAI. If you already want to set up a project there, you can demonstrate your first project, and we can give a subsidy for 50% of the cost, and that includes for feasibility studies or investment preparation studies as well. And then on the next slide, we have the Dutch trade and the investment funds, which is more focusing on loans. The next slide is purely focused on the trade shows. We can provide an SME lounge. So even if you do not want to have your own business stand at an event of Brazil or Argentina, if more companies are interested, we can set up a Dutch pavilion, Netherlands pavilion nowadays, where all companies can gather and invite international guests. And the last one is the Partners for International Business. That is for a cluster of companies, more or less 3 to 5 companies who want to go to a specific country, and then in multiple years we will help them with getting market entry to that market. It is a lot of information, so please feel free to contact me. And then I cannot wait to give the floor back to Louisa and Bastiaan and get to learn more about the market studies. Thank you all very much, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kenneth. Now, Antonio, maybe we'll start with the presentation of Minas Gerais. So again, good afternoon to you all. My name is Luisa Hatches. I am the deputy representative in the NBSO Belo Horizonte in Brazil. We are today here with my colleagues from the NBSO in Córdoba, with their consulting teams in Argentina, and with our partners from CI Biogas, to tell you a little bit more about the biogas potential in Minas Gerais and in Argentina. So regarding Minas Gerais, I just have this one slide to give you all an overview about Minas Gerais, about our state. But of course, these biogas potentialities will be further explored by our colleagues from CI Biogas, who make a complete and great presentation afterwards. So yeah, to start, Minas Gerais is a large state. We have approximately the size of France and Spain, located in the southeastern region of Brazil, so very close to Rio, São Paulo, but also the capital of Brazil, which is Brasília. So if you pin a compass and make like a circle, having Belo Horizonte, our capital, in the center of this circle, you have within 800 kilometers from our state capital, you'll find over 52% of Brazil's GDP. So we are located in a very important region of Brazil. And Minas Gerais itself holds the third largest GDP in Brazil. And of course, being a agribusiness oriented state, we also have a large availability of biomass and potential substrates for the biogas industry. So as you can see in the slide, Minas Gerais is not the #1 state in Brazil when it comes to biogas plants. We have also the 3rd largest cattle herd in the country, 3rd largest hog farming production in Brazil. We have an enormous sugar alcohol potential here, but yeah, again, this will be further explored in the presentation of CI Biogas. And yeah, we have a privileged location in Brazil. As I told you before, we are a state of 21 million inhabitants. So there is a lot of potential for Dutch companies here, and you can also count on us to help you, to further assist you with the market in Minas Gerais. So again, with no more further ado, I'll give the floor to the representatives of CI Biogas, Mr. Nicolas Berhorst and Mr. Felipe Marques. Guys, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Luisa. It's a big pleasure and big honor to be here again, presenting our study to the Netherlands Embassy and the Netherlands Business Support Office. Once again, it's really nice the work you do to promote opportunities for the Dutch enterprises. Together with me here on this meeting, we have our Technological Development Director, Mr. Felipe Marques. And today we present to you our second work with NBSO and also with Dutch Embassy, which is the Minas Gerais Renewable Energy Biogas Market Study. In 2019, we have done our first report, which was overall Brazilian potential for biogas and biomethane. And then last year, we began the focus on Minas Gerais, and which was finished in the beginning of 2021. So we have very updated information and valuable information for market decision making. Who is CI Biogas? CI Biogas is an innovation center. We are in association format, also an institution for science and technology for biogas and biomethane value chain development. We work connected with the market and decision makers. So I invite you all to visit our website and connect with us. We have 5 main areas or sectors in our institute, which is research and development. Our laboratory is the biggest biogas lab in Brazil. We have over 31,000 samples measured of biomethane, methane and biogas potential. We also have a very extensive and robust training programs. One of our missions is to form multipliers of biogas in Brazil. We have our technical assistance or engineering area, which we provide our partners and clients with valuable projects and consultancy on biogas projects in Brazil, and the market intelligence and regulatory intelligence of CI Biogas, which I am the coordinator and which this report was done into. So please visit our website at cibiogas.org to learn more about our work. Now let's go to the information of Minas Gerais, some general characteristics. From our estimatives, we are talking about a potential of 8.6 billion cubic meters per year. It's about 11% of the national volume. So it's a big concentration. From the substrates, what we have found is number one, as Luisa has already introduced, sugar cane energy is the biggest potential. After that, hog farming or swine. After that, dairy farming, remembering that Minas Gerais is the state of dairy or milk production in Brazil. After that, poultry farming, protein and commercial eggs. And at 5th, the wastewater treatment plants or sewage treatment plants. Minas Gerais is home to the third largest flock of egg-laying poultry. It's the largest milk manufacturer. And in Minas Gerais, there are 35 very large alcohol plants, alcohol sugar plants that processes more than 745 million tons of sugarcane per year. The report you have access to was made in order to transfer information on the best and most fast way possible. So we have done many infographics that you can access and easily interpret. So on this infographic, for example, you can check that how the potential per substrates are drawn. And it's also important to highlight that Minas Gerais is the state with the highest number of biogas plants in Brazil. Later on, we're gonna have a scanner, a panorama of how these plants are distributed. On the report also, we have done research on municipal level. So we found which are the 5 top municipalities in Minas Gerais for each substrate. So I come here with some examples. The city of Uberlândia, which is one of the biggest cities in Minas Gerais, is home to the biggest potential for meat production, poultry farming. Egg laying stays with Itanhandu in the south of Minas Gerais as the highest potential. Same may be checked with hog farming, also in Uberlândia. And when it comes to dairy farming, you have Ituiutaba, which is in the same region of Uberlândia. I would also like to highlight that Minas Gerais has this arm to the left side, and this is one of the richest and most one of the rural regions in Brazil with the highest levels of productivity. It's close to São Paulo, it's close to Goiás, and that little arm right there, it's very, very fertile. So most of the potential and most of the focus should be checked into that. Uberaba is also in this region and is home to the highest potential of sugar sector. Over this, on the south border of this region, there is a very large river passing by, so that's really important for this kind of production. And we have also found wastewater treatment plants that already produces biogas in Nova Lima, for example, but still that only burn it into the flare. So there is already a tip-top opportunity for biogas monetization. So the panorama of the plants I have promised is here. So there's over 181 plants that produce electricity with biogas. Most of they are from agricultural substrates, and that's the biggest number. All the other types of monetizations are very reduced in number. And I would like to highlight that we are talking about the state with the highest number of plants, and that's a bit over 200. So it's a big opportunity to build more plants indeed. Also, it's important to highlight that it's only one plant that purifies or upgrades biogas to the biomethane level or natural gas level in Minas Gerais. I will not go on profound analysis of our SWOT. I suggest you all to check the the section of the report about this, but the highest strengths of the SWOT analysis is the availability of substrates, the high amount of biodigesters, and very important, tax exemptions. There's this tax tribute in Brazil called ICMS, which is a tax for, it's close to a consume tax, but on cascade. So it's very bad for business, so to say. And in Minas Gerais, they have this lifelong ICMS tax exemption, which is about 28% when producers generate electricity on distributed generation. Distributed generation in Brazil goes until 5 megawatt. There is a whole section of the report talking about the regulation of net metering in Brazil, which is how our distributed generation works. And there is also, on this section, there's also a subsection especially talking about these tax exemptions. And this is why Minas Gerais has the highest number of plants in Brazil. It's because of this tax exemption. We see also opportunities. Is Minas Gerais is a very extensive, very dense state with the most extensive motorway network, the strong agricultural and sugar hull sectors, and also a labor force and companies specialized in biogas. So there's a lot of people and companies to partner up and bring and structurate more projects here. As threats, we put on first place the changes of the regulatory distributed generation policy. As I said before, there's a section about that. Please check in for details. And also, when we say about the skepticism of investors due to country risk, I would like to check into that biogas plants in Brazil were strongly invested in the 80s, but they were kind of done wrong. So what we support and what we defend is to do biogas with the right way, with the right equipment. And the investors are checking that already, that if you invest right, you get the right return. So you can have our support to defend that for your interests in businesses. Now I bring some local and some opportunities that we found that were really interesting and are as well described with more details on the report. First of all, is the central it's opportunity to build a central biogas plant in Uberlândia. As the first picture shows, this first pictures, you can see lots of small squares. Each one of these squares hosts about 5 to 10 million, 5 to 10,000 hog and poultry. It's from the Brazil Foods Group. And this is only one of their operations in Minas Gerais. This is the one we found on the map that's really big, but you can find many just Googling around Google Maps. The second one is biogas plants from Nestlé Group, the Swiss group Nestlé. There they have already a sewage waste treatment plant, but not yet a biogas monetizing plant or biogas production, but biogas monetizing operation. And as the third biggest opportunity we found is this sugarcane plant in Conceição do Alagoas, right there close to Uberaba. This plant is really huge and has the highest potential for biogas and biomethane plant. And also, as you check in the report, there's this program in Brazil called Renova Bio, which works as a carbon credit program, but focused on the transport section. So it's working. It's already being commercialized in the stock exchange in B3 in Brazil. And sugarcane plants are the ones that are going to benefit most from this program. So biomethane has the highest grade on this program. And what I mean is sugarcane plants already work on this program. And if they produce biomethane, they multiply the money of income from the program. This is one of the most important infographics done. It was done directly, partner up with the RVO. So Kenneth, thank you very much for the help you have done. Kenneth has connected us with Mr. Kees Quant, which helped us to identify some companies that we have not seen in Netherlands. And what this infographic brings is that we have divided into 5 stages a biogas plant solution: pretreatment, storage, treatment, cogeneration, biomethane production, and measurement equipment. We have identified some Dutch companies that work already on each section. And we have also added some possible Brazilian partners for you to partner up. Those are 3DI, Ecometano from MDC Group, CHP Brazil, and Leão. Those companies are associates with the CI Biogas, and we would be more than happy to connect you with them. It's important to check that in cogeneration, we have only found a few Dutch companies that would have a big opportunity in Brazil, because we already have a national production of engines. So there is opportunity only for those companies to be more competitive, that build very large engines over 800 kilowatts or over 1 megawatt. Less than that, we produce it already nationally. We have also identified and described 18 financing opportunities that could economically support the process of exporting technology and services to the Netherlands to Brazil were identified. Kenneth's slide was really interesting on the tickets and resources to do these types of work of entering the market. And we are happy to be colleagues with the NBSO, and please count on us to be your partners on this venture. Back in when we were doing this program, Willem Moral, our colleague from NBSO Belo Horizonte, has already identified the FMO. It's a Dutch bank, has lots of resources with very cheap interest to do financing here in Brazil. As a public auction, I would like to highlight the Unido JEF program, tropicalization program. It's still open. Please check the website, jeffbiogas.org.br, and you can check the tropicalization support we have online, in which CI Biogas is also involved as a executioner to help international companies bring technology to Brazil. As next steps, we have identified action through commercial agreements, training of local labor, hiring local engineers, and having partners to maintain the equipment over here, create stock pairs in Brazil to make cheaper for producers to buy Dutch equipment, and also exploring maintenance market with partners up in Brazil to have more competitiveness over other competitors here. And also building demonstration plants or having your equipment demonstrated in any plant is also very strongly suggested. And before CI Biogas can help you to be successful in the Brazilian market, count with us. That was my presentation. I hope you have all enjoyed. I will be available in the Q&A section on in the last part of the event to talk directly to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nicolas, for your presentation. Yeah, now we can move to the presentation of Argentina. So Bastiaan, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks very much. So why did we start this study on biogas in Argentina? Well, I think it's important to remark that Argentina is the second biggest country in South America. It's also the second economy with 45 million inhabitants. And Argentina, well, has vast natural resources and is also a really important international food producer and exporter, just as Brazil. So really a lot of biomass available. Interesting fact is also that, well, the Netherlands has been present for, Dutch companies have been active here for more than 100 years, and we're the fourth historic investor. So what's important also to mention that the Dutch economic network here in Argentina has got a really strong presence. If you can go to the next slide. So here in Argentina, we have the embassy in Buenos Aires, which is also the embassy of Uruguay and Paraguay, with also a local agriculture attaché. And well, our NBSO office, it's Netherlands Business Support Office. We're located in the second city of the country, which is located in the center of Argentina. And we're a team here in the NBSO of 2 people. It's Antonio Scotto and myself. And well, we are really looking forward to assist you further in questions and developing opportunities in the biogas markets. But without further ado, I would like to give the word to Nicolas Afur, who will share with us the presentation of the market study Biogas in Argentina. Hi, Nicolas, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon. Well, I will share with you our local presentation. My name is Nicolas Afur, and together with Gabriel Fenoglio, we have done this market study in biogas in Argentina. And I'm very happy to present the results of it to you today. What is interesting about biogas in Argentina? Well, here I share some highlights. Argentina is a great agri-food producer and has a vast biomass resources. Also, the majority of the production is for export. Therefore, there are increasing environmental requirements from external markets. The biogas industry has developed in the last few years, and European technology is widely used. At this moment, there's no biomethane production. However, there is a high potential. It's important to remark that the extensive natural gas infrastructure could be used. Now here we show the 5 most important industries with biogas potential. Only looking for these industries, there's a potential of 153,000 tons oil equivalent per year. Regarding the cattle livestock, there are 57 million of heads, and 2 million of them in feedlots and 3 million in dairy industry. Then the pig industry had a stock of 5 million pigs, and production is in a growing spin, and biogas is essential to reduce the environmental impact. Currently, 5 biogas plants use pig manure. The sugarcane production is very concentrated, mainly in the Tucumán province. There's no biogas production yet, but there are interesting volumes of substrates in the sugar and bioethanol industry. Finally, in the poultry industry, there is a stock of 140 million chicken, and however, still no biogas is produced. Well, as you can see here, biogas development is very recent. In fact, the first laws on renewable energy were introduced 15 years ago. There are over 100 plants. However, currently 19 plants are producing and selling electricity. The plants use waste substrates from different industries. Some use energy crops to complement. At this moment, there are 7 new projects of more than 1 megawatt under development. The biogas plants producing electricity have been a result of the Renovar program. This program had favorable conditions, such as fixed prices in US dollars for a 20 years term. Looking forward, we see that the government has no plans to continue with such stimulus programs. So, therefore, the focus in biogas projects should be mainly processing organic waste only for self-consumption. Now, let's take a look for the gas market. There is an extensive natural gas grid that connects most of the homes and industries. 12 of the whole vehicles ran on compressed natural gas. Biomethane is not produced, but could be easily incorporated into the existing infrastructure. Even though Argentina produces natural gas, is still being imported during the winter season. Interesting fact is that the Argentine Chamber of Renewable Energy has estimated that the cost of biomethane production would be around $11 per MBTU. And this is, however, higher than the current price of natural gas. Natural gas is also very important in Argentina. More than half of the whole energy supply is provided by natural gas, and the current reserves of natural gas account for 20 years of supply. So biomethane could be a solution in the energy transition. During the last few years of the development of the biogas industry, an ecosystem of many different players has been created. For example, there are local infrastructure providers with significant experience and companies capable of developing new biogas projects. Several knowledge institutions are also dedicated to biogas as well. The lobby of the industrial chambers is also getting stronger. And the forefront players use mainly German and Italian technology. If we look at the strength, from the conclusions of the SWOT analysis for the Dutch biogas business in Argentina market, I would say that many of the strengths were already discussed before, but I would like to highlight the following ones. First of all, the main substrates providers are already familiar with the biogas technology and its possibilities. And many companies already have done feasibility studies. Most are on hold due to the lack of financing options. Another point is that Netherlands is not well known yet for biogas. However, Dutch technology is well regarded in most of the animal production industries, such as pig or poultry or dairy production. If we look at the weaknesses, it's important to stress that there is a great lack of financial resources in the domestic market to enhance the investment. And also international financing is very limited. And there's no biogas plants that use Dutch technology. The companies that will invest would like to see that the new technologies has been tested and proven effective locally first. Regarding the environmental improvements, still the control is weak and markets do not pay for a product with a higher standard, almost yet. There are few government incentives for promoting the sector. When we look at opportunities, there are several points to remark. For companies that want to enter the market, this is the moment, because it's easier and cheaper to enter an early stage versus a consolidated market. With a lack of proper incentives, the main focus should be on consumption, on self-consumption, and circular practices to make businesses more sound and sustainable. However, if financing and new price incentives appear, the biogas industry will grow even more. Whereas both German and Italian technologies focus mainly on production and electricity out of energy crops, Dutch technology could offer more specific solutions that can be of value to Argentinian market. Knowledge and custom-made solutions for specific waste streams, conversion of digestate into biofertilizer, or improving efficiency and output. In the threat form, here's important to stress that there is still a lot of uncertainty about the policies for the biogas and biomethane, and the lobby of the industry against the cut of NG of natural gas with biomethane. Okay, if we look forward, we see that several steps can be taken to develop opportunities in the Argentine market. When looking to communication, a bundle of actions could be put on stage, like showcase expertise and technology Netherlands could offer, virtual visits on Netherlands plants, or communicate the experience in circular economy. Also, commercial actions could be done, like offering technical and commercial presence and providing financing solutions to increase sales. It's also important to develop and maintain your network, so you can use the services of the NBSO. Finally, as an European technology is already high regarded, there are high opportunities of differentiation. Finally, here's a summary of the opportunities for Dutch companies from the biogas sector. In the market study, you will find all the details. And together with the NBOs, we are very willing to help you further. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Nicolas. If you could stop sharing the screen, then we'll go to the general. Okay, thanks very much. Then we'll go to the general Q&A. Kenneth, I would like to invite you. If you have any questions to share with the consultants.
Yes, I have one question in the chat from Chitte van der Werf. And the question is, are there norms for feeding biomethane into the grid? I'm not sure which country Chitte is referring to, but I would like first give the word to, it's a bit to both Nicolás, but first I give the word to Argentina and then to Brazil, if they can tell a little bit more about that.
Okay, maybe I could respond that rapidly. In Argentina, there are no norms yet, and even no biomethane produced, but there are concrete proposals to add at least, well, 0.5% of biomethane, and that would be really that would mean 70 plants of 1 megawatt equivalents. So, but no norms yet. And Nicolas, maybe you could mention on Brazil.
Yes, we do have a norm in Brazil. It's called the NBR 16837, which is it's a norm that specifies how biomethane must be connected into the grid. Chite has suggested in the chat that for Brazil he already knows, so I will not get into detail on that, but I would like to highlight there's a very opportunity for biogas, for connection between natural gas markets in Argentina and Brazil. If you could check from Mr. Afur's slide when he showed the natural gas grid, that Argentina is an exporter of natural gas, and Brazil now is starting to have a pipeline connecting with the pipeline that already exists in Argentina, which connects the state of Rio Grande do Sul with the border of the Argentinian country.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Another question from my side. I think in both the presentations, the importance of working together with local companies or institutions was really one of the main things that I heard. Perhaps for both Bastiaan and Louisa, do you know if there are any local events or exhibitions, or are there any other events or programs for Dutch companies in how to get in contact with those local companies?
Yeah, I can start. So most of the events that Brazil has in terms of biogas, CI Biogas is also directly involved. So yeah, once we know more about the upcoming events, we'll let you know. So stay tuned in our LinkedIn page and also Nicolas' LinkedIn page. And there is also the Eco Energy Fair, which is important to highlight, is a fair in a congress, international congress of clean technology and renewables for the generation of energy. And this will be next year. So we can also address that on our LinkedIn page, or if you contact us directly for that. And sorry, Kenneth, the other question was?
No, that was it. Or if there are any events locally held, or if you in Brazil have any contacts or future events or exhibitions coming up.
Yeah, so I think I already addressed. So yeah, feel free to contact us. Bastiaan, if you would like to mention for Argentina.
Maybe for Brazil, I could add that CI Biogas is an organization that organizes a lot of webinars, and also in English, quite some good webinars which I've followed as well. So that's for Brazil. As for Argentina, there's no specific fair on biogas, but for example, it is interesting to see the fair for poultry and pig, which is in November. And for example, there are also present more than 10 companies from the Netherlands from the pig production, and there will be an L stand. So that will be very interesting. And for other events, I think it's good to contact us, and we have a very extensive network with all the relevant organizations and companies and providers. So we will assist with that as well.
Thank you. I see we still have some time left for some general questions. These were, of course, two presentations for different countries or different regions. I guess for the consultants, what do you see is the main difference between Argentina and Minas Gerais, which is of course relevant for Dutch companies to know about? Nicolas, can I give the word to you first?
Nicolas, me, I guess. Thank you, Kenneth. It was really interesting to see the Argentinian numbers, and it's a big pleasure to be here with our Argentinian colleagues on the same webinar to talk about biogas. I guess that one of the main differences of what was shown in between Brazil and Argentina, one is the weather. So Argentina has a harsher winter than Brazil, and the biogas plant has to take that into account. But I guess for Dutch suppliers, there will be no problem since you are already used to the Dutch winter. I see also that the sugarcane sector in Brazil, it is indeed a big opportunity because it's the largest sugarcane market in the world, and Minas Gerais, for instance, holds up a very interesting spot on the ranking. Other than that, I guess that for poultry and swine, I've never visited a swine or poultry a property in Brazil, but I guess from what we have spoken with our colleagues, and Nicolas and Gabriel, it's done pretty much in the same way as in Brazil. So I guess that's also an opportunity. I also would like to check if Felipe has something to add to this discussion. And
yes, thank you, Nicolas. I would like just to add that there is in Netherlands a lot of experience on use of the biogas and the biomethane and the off gas. There is a lot of opportunities that they are about to being seen in the Brazilian and Argentinian markets in these areas. So the common way that we use that we see in the biogas market, we started to producing biogas to generate electricity for thermal applications to biomethane, and after that we look for the gases economy, the gases products. You have a lot of experience on that on Netherlands, especially the use of CO2. I would like to remark this as a big opportunity for the Dutch companies to look to the Brazilian and the Argentinian market, because as we increase the biogas production, we also increase the CO2 production and CO2 in the pipe. So there is a lot of opportunities on getting the CO2, the CO2 from the air, but there is a lot of opportunities because we have the CO2 on the pipe in the biogas plants. You know how to do it. You have the expertise for that. I think we can together address these kind of projects to gain efficiency on the agro industry and the industries on Brazil and the Argentinian market. Just this remark. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comment from Argentina on that?
Well, I think the similarities are much more than the differences. So like the scale and the way farms are set up, I think that's much more important. So also for a company that decides to cross the Pacific Ocean and go to South America, and if they land first in Minas Gerais, for example, then it's also much easier to go to Argentina. There's also the Mercosur, which makes trade much easier between Argentina and Brazil. And also there are direct flights between Argentina and Brazil. So it's very important to take into account the strategy. If you go to one of these markets, Argentina or Brazil, then it's much easier to also go to the other country. And for example, a lot of slaughterhouses and some pig producers or mainly poultry producers are, for example, in Argentina are also Brazilian. So like BRF, one of the projects mentioned, is also active here in Argentina. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, clear. Jos van Nederpelt raised his hand, so I would like to give the word to you, Jos.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, my name is Jos van Nederpelt, representing a company called Vifrenk. I was already, you mentioned already in the presentation for storage of biogas. I'm wondering to understand what is the level of professionalism of the biogas plants, mainly in Brazil at this stage. Are they relying on mostly German technology, or what does a typical plant look like?
I will start this. Thank you for your question, Jos. I will start to answer it, and then I will pass the word to Felipe to add some more comments. We have pretty much two types, not two types, but we have pretty much two kinds of technology that are used. The most common are the covered lagoons, and pretty much for those substrates which are very low on percentage of solids. Mm-hmm. Those covered lagoons, some of them work well because they have the right equipment on it. For example, heat exchangers, mixers, pre-treatment, and right dimensioning. They work very well, mainly on those regions where the winter is not that harsh. But we also have very technological CSTRs reactors, and those CSTRs are very close to what you see in Europe. They are not that frequent, but they exist here already. Over technology suppliers, we have seen suppliers from the United States, we have seen suppliers from Italy, from Netherlands, and from Germany. So I would say that the main suppliers of biogas in the world are also the international suppliers you see here in Brazil. Felipe, could you please add some more info for Mr. Nederpelt?
Yes, thank you, Nicolas. We in the last years we are seeing the higher maturity on the biogas projects and biogas plants in Brazil. Just to add a number, the average of the new biogas plants that we had last year, it was 13 that we started running last year in Brazil. The average biogas production per year, it's 13.5 million cubic meters of biogas. The average of the biogas plants before 2019, it was 2.7 million of cubic meters per year. So in the last year, the average, it was more than 5 times the average production. So we are having bigger biogas plants now connected not only to self-supply, but connected to business. We had started a few months ago 20 megawatt biogas plant. It's the biggest one we have in Brazil. There is a lot of opportunity. It is connected to with the sugarcane industry. We have a lot of big biogas plants connecting with the sugarcane industry and the landfills, that we still have a lot of landfills that until now doesn't use the biogas to generate electricity or to produce biomethane. So we are seeing in the last 3 years better biogas projects, more technology on the projects, especially because now they are really looking for performance. They are looking for they need to address to the contracts. So this is it's getting more mature biogas market in Brazil. There is a lot of foreigners companies that work in here. I don't see too much German companies. I have to say to you that we don't see a lot of German companies being success in Brazil. One thing that I really see in the foreigners companies that have success in Brazil, they are working along with a national company. Usually the German companies that I talked to, they didn't have this interest. They want to put it in a package from Germany and send it to Brazil. And this is very hard for Latin American culture. We like to participate. So in the now there is some German companies that are working with this, but I see companies from Netherlands, companies from France, companies from Canada, companies from Norway working in Brazil, from Spain, from Italy, a lot of companies from Italy. So we are really a lot of foreigners companies identifying opportunities here.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers then.
Okay.
And we'll be in touch.
Yeah, thanks very much. I would like to mention that also after there's a breakout session where you can go specifically, you can meet the consultants and have more specific discussions. So, but before to entering these breakout sessions, I would like to discuss with you what's next. So after this webinar, we'll send you an email, and in this email, we will share our contact details, the slides of the presentation of today, and also the links to the market studies. And if you want to have another private session, then there's an opportunity. You can contact us, and in the next following weeks, we could schedule like a 45-minute video meeting where we can focus specifically on the questions that you have and the specific opportunities of your company in either the Brazilian or the Argentinian markets. Now, Luisa will share our contact details. Luisa.
Yes, hi. So thank you very much for those who watched our presentation, and feel free to contact us whenever you have questions, direct questions, or you just want to discuss the Brazilian market and the market in Minas Gerais and in Argentina. And so this is our contact details. And yeah, now we move to the breakout room. So there will be a pop-up in your screen, and then you can choose between Brazil and Argentina. And we'll have an interactive section in the breakouts where you can talk to our consultants as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Antonio, you can now put the screen with the breakout choices. And for those who I don't see that move to Argentina, thank you very much. And you can contact us afterwards. And Bastiaan, likewise.
Yeah. Okay. And the same for me. So thanks very much, everyone. And we'll see each other in the breakout rooms. I will go into the room of Argentina now. See you.